I don't know. I like hearing the kid mom say you need a water or anything. You need a water. How long, you
Most of it can't get past the
Rose that.
You know, it sounded intimidating.
I don't listen to it.
Country mayor in.
It's 6:15 and I'm going to call the Streets and Sanitation Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is to request for the purchase of a 2026 Dodge 550 regular cab truck.
Yeah, this is a smaller size dump truck that you don't need a CDL to drive. What's actually kind of exciting about the truck is you can have a plow on one end and a salt spreader on the back. So instead of having to run a salt spreader and a plow truck, you can actually have one person in there and kind of doing it all at the same time. It is a budgeted item. We actually were able to save money, a bunch of different items in our capital to be able to help afford this purchase.
Just for curiosity's sake, what year was the old truck?
We surplused it. It was late 90s, early 2000s.
So how long will
That was
this
surplus.
last?
Huh?
How long will this last doing all this?
It'll, a while,
Okay.
yes.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. The motion carries. The second item on the agenda for tonight is request for the purchase of a new side loader garbage truck to replace the 2010 side load trash truck.
Yes, so similar scenario, we have replacing our 2010 side loader that has bad transmission in it. It's not reliable, it doesn't run. If we do have a garbage truck that goes down, the side loader will be in bad shape to keep up with the demand. This helps replace that, it helps us keep our service up. The 2010 will be surplus as well.
And that was in the budget?
Yep.
Got it cheaper too?
Yeah, we actually budgeted $425 and it's $408.
Once we purchased this, because we purchased some other trash trucks. We purchased some other trucks
Yes.
out of sanitation.
Yes, we did. We purchased a side loader 1 to 2 years ago, I want to say, to replace another one, and this one will replace the 2010. Typically, out of a side loader garbage truck, since it's stop, go, picking up cans, usually get 5 to 7 years out of it. Our garage is great, so we're able to get about 10 out of it. So this one has made its life cycle. It's time to retire it. And the one before it was our 2000 side loader that we just surplused. It doesn't even run at this point.
So your truck should be good after this purchase.
Yeah, our truck should be good for at least another 4 or 5 more years until we may need to get it on, depending on how the backup acts.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The third item on the agenda is the request for a new front-load garbage truck to replace the 2009 front-load trash truck.
Similar to the side loader, this front loader is transmission issues. It's met its life cycle. It needs to be surplus and retired out of our fleet. This actually came in a lot lower. We actually talked down the source flow contract from 400 down to 378, so we can get a better deal on it. So we're saving almost $50,000 on this one. And none of these are ready to go. They don't have to be built. We'll have them in our fleet in a matter of weeks. We're the months.
And just put the other one on Gov Deals or
Yep.
something.
They'll be surplus on gov deals, absolutely. Go back into the sanitation fund.
I'll make a motion, recommend this to full board.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Is there any more issues to come before this committee? Hearing none, this committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you, Lyndon.
His youngest grandchild is 4 years old. And he calls me the Paul. But that's I think Jack knows more people than I think. And he's been gone since he was 15. See the one that has been at the Has he been at the Aldermen? That was more past 50 years. Jack sees every watches which makes it a larger shareholder.
It is 6:30. We will open a public hearing to hear concerns and comments regarding proposed fees for stormwater maintenance, flood mitigation, water quality improvement projects, MS4 management, and regulatory compliance. Before we begin public comment, I want to briefly explain the process for this evening. Public comment is an opportunity for the board to receive public comment. Under Robert's Rules of Order, this is not a question and answer session, and the board will not engage in discussion at this time. Each speaker will be afforded 2 to 3 minutes to share their comments, which will be entered into the record and considered by the board. Questions or issues raised may be referred to staff for follow-up meetings at a future date and time. Please ensure fairness in an orderly meeting. We will now begin public comment. If you would like to address the board, please step to the podium and state your name for the record. And sign in.
Hey, good evening, y'all. I had several comments here, and I'm gonna save them because my time on that side of the room, I learned a few things, and that is that a lot of the times the board members aren't educated on exactly what's going on and what's the what behind the why. They just understand the what. The why behind the what. And in reading this notice right here. It's going to be assessed on impervious surface. So the obvious offset to that is pervious surfaces. And at a time when housing affordability is at a crisis level, I mean, good grief, Congress is getting ready to address it. We're setting us up to increase housing prices yet again. And this board hasn't done anything to offset that. We haven't reduced the minimum size of R1. We haven't done anything to address that at all. So I would like to tell you guys that it's going to cost folks at least 50% more for driveways, walkways, and things of that nature, or they're going to be taxed. And that's if that impervious surface, if that's truly how it reads when the ordinance comes out, the offset to that is pervious, and that is a type of hard surface known as pervious concrete. One of the things that people may not understand about that is it doesn't do anything with the outflow. All it does is direct it underground. You still have the exact same, surface area. You still have the exact same drainage area. All you do is increase the complexity for builders in the area and the cost for owners. I mean, 53% of the people in this town rent. So let's think about 53% of the people that are capable of voting here don't even own a house. And so what we're going to do is we're going to penalize them even more and raise the bar more for that. Also, I mean, it's not meant to disparage anybody, but it's a fact that most of the building trades now don't know that hot's on the left and cold's on the right. And so the level of complexity for these pervious surfaces and the subsurface drainage that it takes is astronomical. And it becomes a high-skilled occupation. And then also the regulation behind it and the approval of the slopes. And all this stuff is just adds another level of complexity that doesn't need to be there and another level of expense, in my opinion. So I have a couple statements to make. You know, I don't know that the city's running a surplus right now. I don't know. I don't check the books. I don't think we are as far as revenue collection and expenses. So to me, it's akin to hauling watermelons, losing a dime a watermelon, buying more trucks to haul more watermelons. If we're gonna add another department in this city, and another level of bureaucracy in this city, and another burden to the homeowners and the taxpayers that they don't have to have, because it does nothing. It doesn't minimize, mitigate, or even diminish the surface runoff. It doesn't at all. It still puts it in the drainage right of ways. It does not do, it just doesn't miraculously disappear. It simply goes underneath it and is directed into the outfall in another location or in another manner. That's it. So anyway, like I said, I was going to stop. I had a bunch of crap here. I'm not going to say it. I just wanted you guys to know, because I know when I was sitting in that chair, there were a lot of things that came in front of this board that I didn't get any education on from staff. None. Not at all. And I had to go about my own way and figure out what it was, or I was going to be voting on something that I didn't understand. And I wanted you guys to know, 53% of the people in this town live in a rented or leased structure. Costs are astronomical. The complexity to comply with this and to abate this tax would be a pervious service. It's going to make the complexity of building homes and doing these surfaces and the subsurface drainage disposal systems astronomically expensive. And it's going to add to the codes enforcement in the area, which somebody's got to pay for that. You know, and that would be the taxpayers at another level. And I just wanted y'all to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name's Tony Lawrence. I live at 16 North Steeplechase here in McMinnville. And as of 10 months ago, I retired. So now I'm on fixed income. And having done that, I've learned you have to live with the income that you have. And that's what I would recommend the city learn to do, is to live with the income you have. My property taxes went up 10% this year due to the reappraisal. And that was an addition that I wasn't expecting. But that's something that I think should be thought about. From what I've read, this is going to add to our water bills. My water bill now is close to $100. Sometimes it's actually more than my electric bill. And there's not anything you can do because I'm near minimum. There's just 2 in my household. And I see no reason to add another whole department, as was already mentioned, adding another whole level of bureaucracy. My suggestion is that you learn, like I've had to do, the difference between essentials and between matters of things you want to do. Do what the city needs to do first, and then if you've got any money left, then use that on things that you might want to do. But consider those of us who are actually paying the taxes and paying the bills, and don't do anything that will cause us more expense. Because if the city's here to serve us, please do that. Just serve us.
Hey guys, I'm Kelly Walker. I'm with Warren First 931, and there's a couple of questions and concerns people's drawn to me, so I'll just go through them and just consider these as questions to think about. One was, how will this proposal stormwater utility fee impact Warren County residents who receive city water service but live outside the city limits? 2 was, will property owners have an appeal process if they believe their impervious surface assessment is incorrect or their runoff does not impact city systems? The 3rd one was, is this fee expected to increase over time? And if so, what safeguards are in place to prevent excessive increases without public approval? Number 4 was, once implemented, what oversight or review process will exist to ensure the fee is fair, effective, and necessary? The other one was, what type of buildings will be exempt? And lastly, the other one that was asked, will any of the aldermen who own multiple affected properties disclose how this fee impacts them personally? And has any consideration been given to potential conflicts of interest? Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey Herwood. I know the city has to comply with the TDEC MS4 permit. The city's had to do that for close to 10 years, I think now. And I know they do change. But my question would be, what changes specifically have occurred to require the city to start requiring the fee? And then also, one other thing to consider is when you have commercial properties, multiple tenants, the property owner may not have a water bill. So you've got shared parking space, shared impervious cover. How do those charges get divvied up between tenants? So, two things to consider.
I'm Joe Schoolfield, and actually have a place off of Spring Street, just up around the corner. If you're familiar with Parks and Rec, I would have brought Little Sebastian and probably gotten all the attention I needed. If you're not familiar with the show, you're confused right now. But I did want to say thank you for opening up for us to be able to talk tonight. I know I may not sound like some of the other folks before or after. I'm not necessarily opposed to the public notice and the information that's there. I think that there are a lot of things that need to be considered, though. I know that stormwater maintenance, flood mitigation, I know the city council just in 2025 had several discussions around flooding and what to do about that. Water quality, MS4 management is a real issue. There's regulatory compliance. It doesn't happen, and it doesn't come from inside of McMinnville. We know the state, and we know that nationally there's codes that have to be dealt with and processes that have to be dealt with. Flood mitigation can be handled through multiple avenues. FEMA has programs, state has programs, there's other federal options, and it would be nice to understand how those could be leveraged for this opportunity here. Also, with developments coming in and changing fundamentally how we deal with stormwater, not taking open land that is soil and other things and creating developments and such, that changes fundamentally how our city is operated. And it would be nice to understand how we could leverage the development and actually putting more restrictions and/or controls in place so that developers can be part of the solution also. I'm not necessarily concerned whether it's necessary. I'm not the scientist that's out there. I don't have the measurements, but I do have questions that I think we could consider. Not looking for answers in this, obviously, this forum, but I'd love for them to be considered. Number one, I think understanding and quantifying the problem that we're trying to solve. I think that's probably been asked a couple of times already. Is there some sort of backlog on maintenance? Is there system assets or condition of assets or dollars that we can look at that would say this is why we have to make these specific changes? This is why we have to address going into a fund type of environment. Second, it would be excellent to be able to see an analysis, something that shows this is what we think we need to do over the next year, and here's the justification behind those things. Obviously, deciding on a rate should have data behind that. There should be some sort of unit that can be applied. That's going to be difficult when you have multi-tenant units like was talked about before me. I don't know if you're using something like an equivalent residential unit. That's what I know a lot of municipalities do use. Number three, one big concern would be it's very difficult to think of yet another source of income coming into the city without understanding how that's going to be managed. Where and what is the accountability going to look like? I don't want more bureaucracy anywhere in my life, and I especially don't want it in a city that, for my short experience here, I've seen has done some very fiscally responsible things. And so with the benefit of the doubt, I do ask the question, how can we see how the actual fees will go into how the city's managing that budget? Next, did talk about pervious and impervious surface calculations. How would that happen? What are some of the methods that the homeowners and the commercial property owners are able to understand that? Second to that is there, someone already mentioned this, is there an appeal process to be able to work with the city and say, for example, I know roofing contractors and other property survey companies use satellite imagery. That's not always right. I just did a new roof on a home in McMinnville. They were wrong by almost 500 squares because they used satellite imagery that had a wrong shadow. So I know that an appeal process will be important depending upon the tools used. Also, and I think this is really important, we already had a gentleman come up, I think there has to be some sort of allowances for fixed income and hardships. Something that can provide either a tiered approach, a grandfathered approach, or a lock-in. Something, maybe even mitigation opportunities there. Next, kind of in line with some of the budget items I brought up before, will there be an annual independent audit so that there's public availability on a new fund, something new to the city? There's not an overwhelming amount of support for someone to have more tax dollars for something that runs off of their property and they never see again. But if they can understand a little bit more where it applies and how it applies, maybe there's an additional support you could gain. Finally, final question here. I really would like to understand how the city's willing to commit to meaningful credits, something around accountability on growth. Just because the city grows, that the fee shouldn't grow. There should be other things put into place for growth that's happening today so that mitigation is a part of the development process, not an afterthought. And then finally, I would challenge the city also to consider some sort of performance review 2 to 3 years down the road. If these things begin to happen, what does it look like? Was this successful? Can we reduce the fee? Can we add new changes and potentially credits? And to give a little bit more detail around the credits, I know that there are several municipalities, even in the state of Tennessee, that offer credit programs around mitigations that businesses and homeowners put in place. Whether it's stormwater system collection on their property, a rain pond that collects things and keeps it from going into that. French drain systems that actually dissipate the water on their own property. So there's other opportunities there, even cisterns that could be filled and such. So I personally want to say that I truly believe that we could do well at this as a city, but I think transparency, measurement, data is going to be important for people to understand why this has value. And I think if we have a clearly defined scope, a plan that's published, measurement, and guardrails. Guardrails because all of you folks that are sitting here now may not be here in 5 years. So I'm not necessarily trusting that everybody gives a head nod. This is for the city, for my city, and my children's city. And so the guardrails are going to be very important in that. And finally, a funding approach that creates balance so that the current residents, new developments, and any outside resources we could go for feed into making McMinnville even greater than what it is. So I'm not saying abandon it all. Don't do it. I don't like it. I am saying we need public confidence. And I think before we do anything permanent, that would probably be the most important thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Jeremy Hamilton. I live on 127 Lagoon, and I also run a detail shop on 806 South Chancery Street. I would be affected by this if this does pass on both accounts, and this would affect my water at both locations. One location on Lagoon, the city has still yet to finish the water issue that I have there along with other people. Having an additional tax on my water bill for something that's still not resolved, I very much struggle with that. Also, the property on 806 South Chancery Street is an impervious surface. What does that mean for my water bill? It's all concrete. That is going to affect my bill tremendously. I'm a small business. This is going to cut my profits even more. We just dropped almost $1 million in 10 minutes on 2 garbage trucks. I do not think this is the responsibility of the citizens to pay for this. I think we need to look at budget cuts. I think we need to look at things within the city budget to make this happen without making the taxpayers pay this fee. Thank you.
Charles Dodson, 99 Maryview Court, and I'm also District 2 County Commissioner. And I sit on the Econ and Ag Committee. for the Warren County Commission. And we deal with the IDB board. And it is my opinion, as I've heard Mr. Harvey talk about the cost that's going to affect, and hear this gentleman here with this business that's going to affect them. We're trying to get businesses in here. We're trying to bring them in. We're trying to get people in Morrison. We're trying to get them in McMinnville. We're doing all we can. And all this is going to do is just hinder that process. Now, I understand floodwaters have got to be taken care of. But there ought to be another solution. Now, instead of taxing the people again, I think it's the wrong thing to do. Just back up, take another look at it, try again. Because there again, we're trying to better this community. The county commissioners that are here tonight are trying to better this community. You're trying to better this community. Let's help each other out. Because if you start taxing everybody, then that falls on us. And we're not going to have a county very long. Thank you.
I'm Leah Edwards. I'm a local realtor, and I just wanted to say, as a local realtor, I see firsthand how even small recurring fees affect affordability. Buyers already factor in taxes, insurance, and utilities when deciding whether they can purchase a home. Adding another mandatory fee, especially one that changes over time, directly impacts housing affordability, resale value, marketability of properties in McMinnville. From a real estate standpoint, utility fees tied to impervious surfaces create uncertainty for buyers and sellers. When costs are not predictable or clearly understood, it becomes harder to market homes and harder for buyers to qualify and commit. I regularly work with retirees and fixed income homeowners. New monthly fees may seem small in isolation, but they add up quickly and can become a deciding factor in whether someone can stay in their home or they successfully sell it. As someone who deals with daily disclosures and consumer transparency, I believe residents should be provided with clear, itemized information on how this fee will be calculated, billed, appealed, or increased over time before it is adopted. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Scott Kelly. I live on 204 Van Buren Street. And I'm a commissioner in District 5. And the best way for the city or the county to raise tax revenue to mitigate the issues that we have to deal with is more taxpayers, not more or higher taxes.
There are 7 minutes left if anyone wishes to make a comment before the full board meeting starts.
My name is Barry Ferguson. I reside at 111 Van Buren Street. And, I'm a retired legal research analyst and musician. And one of my questions here would be is, I know we've had several surveys before asking pertinent issues to be numerically ordered. And this has always been one that's been on there. I moved back to McMinnville 2017, after being gone for about 50 years. And this has been an issue that's been noticeable as you drive through the town ever since then, and my guess is it probably existed before I ever moved back here. If I brought it back, I'm sorry. But with that being said, and it being on the questionnaires before, who has been responsible for taking care of these issues up until this brainchild popped out? I mean, there had to be a department within the city that was responsible for this particular issue. Who are they? And why do we feel the need all of a sudden to bifurcate that department, create another department, add more expenses? And how long would that be before that department actually effectively becomes up and running? You're gonna have to interview, probably hire somebody from out of town, do that interviewing process if we go along the way we've done before. You're gonna have to do that, then you're gonna have to hire sub-personnel to go with that. You're gonna have to buy equipment to go along with that. All the meanwhile, we're paying taxes, we're still not seeing any resolution to the water running across the street and everything. So how long would it be before this process produces fruit? So up until I hear more and cost and how it can be identified and what areas are going to be directed, in what order they're going to take place in, I don't have enough information to give any kind of approval to this in any manner whatsoever. I think you need to look within, create some more money, cut some more money. I don't know. I've not delved into it that much. That's your all's responsibility for us. But based upon what I've heard and seen up until this point, I can't grant any, and I don't know anybody in town that could. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Any further comments? If there are none, we'll consider this public hearing closed. Thank you.